Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode on habit stacking and executive function, why tiny routines can make a very, very big difference. I am your host, Stephanie Beatty, founder and CEO of InclusiveTeacherCo. Please do visit InclusiveTeacherCo.com to see how I can help you as a parent, as a carer, as an educator, or as the adult in the life of a neurodivergent child. We've got so many exciting things coming up. I can't wait to have you in Inclusive Club. We launch on the 28th of September. Depending on when you're watching this, depends on whether we have launched or not. And we've got so many amazing, non-overwhelming things to be helping parents, lots and lots of practical strategies. So please do head over to inclusiveteacherco.com/inclusive-club. Right, so before we get into habit stacking, as I've just mentioned, I do want to talk about Inclusive Club. I am very excited about it. So if you are a parent of a neurodivergent child and you are currently learning about ADHD, autism, executive function, emotional regulation, school, homework, literacy, masking, meltdowns, whilst simultaneously trying to parent the actual child, then I have made Inclusive Club for you, and it's genuinely the place I wish parents already had, because I don't need parents telling another person that ADHD affects executive function. Okay, useful. What do I actually do with that information when it's 7:45 in the morning and my child's only got one sock on and we're already late for school? That is what Inclusive Club is about. We're taking all of this information, all of this jargon out there, and turning it into very clear, practical support. You will have monthly webinars. You will have the Made Clear program, so ADHD made clear, dyslexia made clear, executive function made clear, autism made clear, practical resources, scripts, downloads, expert sessions, recordings you can watch at your own leisure when it suits you, and moderated parent forum where you can actually start asking some questions. Now, I've already mapped out the next 12 months of support around ADHD, autism, executive function, sleep, emotional regulation, school, and family life. But I'm going to build the membership around you. So it officially opens on the 28th of September. You will pay a one-off enrollment fee of just £17, and then it's 20 quid a month for life. That is the basic standard membership. So if you're fed up of Googling one problem at 11 p.m, then falling into a 17-tab rabbit hole, please do come and join us. So as you can see here on the screen, if you're watching this on YouTube, we've got monthly expert sessions, the forum, expert guidance from myself and my expert associates, child-facing series, so that will be an additional membership in 2027. We will be including exclusive content specifically to help children understand their diagnosis. The resources will be shaped by the community, and as per requests, I've also brought in an online tutor team that you can book for an additional cost. So let's talk about habit stacking now, because this is one of those ideas that sounds almost ridiculously simple, and that's partly why I like it. So what actually is habit stacking? I have to say it's one of my favorite things to talk about and one of my favorite things to think about. I've read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear several times, and you might have heard of habit stacking through that. Highly recommend the book. But the basic idea is that instead of trying to remember a completely new behavior from the middle of nowhere, you actually attach it to something that already happens. So if I do X, then I will do Y. And in psychology, you'll see a very closely related concept called an implementation intention, which is a very fancy name for something really straightforward. And again, if X happens, then I'll do Y. That's exactly what it is. And there's a useful reason for doing that, because one of the things our brains have to do all day long is remember what we intend to do. I need to do that later. I need to take that with me. I need to remember that when I get upstairs. I need to remember to hand that form in tomorrow. Now, as neurodivergent people or parents of neurodivergent children, we're remembering things all of the time. This is called prospective memory, basically remembering to do something in the future. And there is research showing that these specific if-then plans help people follow through on intentions. Now, I've done some research. I'm going to break it down for you so you know I'm not just talking nonsense. There was a 2026 review that looked at 42 studies involving nearly 13,000 kids, and they found an overall benefit from implementation intentions. And interestingly, the effects were actually stronger with younger children, and some analyses actually involved kids with ADHD. Now, that doesn't mean that habit stacking cures executive dysfunction. Absolutely not. Please don't put that on Facebook and tag me in it. But what it does mean is that there is good reason to think that linking an action to a clear cue can make goal-directed behavior easier. And that becomes really interesting when we're talking about executive function. So how or why can this help a neurodivergent child? So imagine I say to a child, go and get ready for school. That sounds like one simple instruction, but it is absolutely not one simple instruction, guys. We've got to remember that. We've got to remember all of the actions that takes. It might mean get upstairs. It means remembering why you went upstairs, finding clothes, choosing what to put on, getting dressed. Notice that you stopped getting dressed because you found something interesting. Restart. Find your socks, brush your teeth, remember your bag, remember your water bottle, remember your pee kit, remember your cooking instructions, track the time, move from one task to another, and somehow be downstairs by 8:15. Now that is a lot of executive function packed into 4 words. Get ready for school. Okay, working memory is involved, task initiation is involved, planning, sequencing, attention shifting, time management. And then we wonder why we've said, put your shoes on 6 bleeding times. Okay, habit stacking doesn't magically give a child a completely different executive function system, not at all. But what it can do is take some of that remembering out of their head. So rather than be remember your bag, we might create when my shoes go on, I pick up my bag. Shoes become the cue. The child, therefore, isn't relying on somebody remembering, get your school bag from the kitchen, which, let's face it, no one wants a shouty household. And this now is where I want parents to start, right? Do not create the whole routine. And this is the mistake that I think we're very tempted to make. We learn about routines, we learn about visual support, we create this beautifully color-coded 14-step morning system. Wake up, get dressed, make bed, tea, breakfast, teeth, hair, bag, water bottle, blah, 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 whatever else. Then we proudly present it to the kid who's already got difficulty sequencing information, already procrastinates and doesn't start tasks, and already has some working memory challenges. So we've essentially responded to executive function difficulty by giving them more executive function work. Okay, so start tiny. Don't overwhelm them. Pick something that already happens. And I'm going to go through an example in the free download below. So please do click that free download below, your habit stacker PDF. You can print it, you can fill it in, you can cut it out and do whatever you want. But let me give you an example. It can be, first things first, when I get out of bed, I put the clothes on that I chose last night. That's it. Okay, not when I get out of bed, I get dressed, brush my teeth, make the bed, open the curtains, feed the dog, and begin my gratitude journal. Okay, one cue and then one very next step. So how do we actually choose a good cue? And this is important because the cue needs to be something that your child actually notices and actually does. Okay. A weak habit stack might be something like at 7:35 a.m. I will remember to get my school bag, because now we're still relying on the child noticing at 7:35 a.m. So a better one might be when I put my shoes on, because they already do it, that's the cue. I pick up my bag. That's an event, something concrete has happened. And it's the same principle that is useful for us as adults too. So I said about prospective memory. There is research into prospective memory that's found differences between remembering something because an event cues you and remembering something at a particular time. Now, adults with ADHD have shown particular And we know this, and I'm speaking from lived experience, but particular difficulty in some studies with time-based prospective memory, okay, which might explain when we think I'll remember at 3:00 can be an extraordinarily optimistic strategy. So use things in the environment, the kettle, the toothbrush, the front door, you're plugging the phone in to charge it, putting your shoes on, putting a plate in the sink. These are things that the brain can actually bump into. So here is an example of the free download. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click the link below and you can download it immediately. And if you are listening to this on a podcast in the car, all you have to do, if you remember, is when you get home, check out any of my social media channels and go on any of my content and simply comment the word habit on anything. If you comment the word habit, it will trigger an automated message to you straight away and it will DM you a link to this immediately. So let's make this practical. So for school mornings, the cue can be, for example, getting out of bed. Then the next tiny step is I then put the clothes on that I chose last night. Then if it's useful, I then go downstairs and put my school bag by the door if it's not already there, okay? And this small set then becomes a stack, okay? You don't get bonus points for making it longer, okay? 3 steps isn't automatically better than 1, and 7 certainly isn't better than 3. The question is, does this make life easier? If yes, keep it. If no, change it. And it's the same thing. I say the same thing about fidget tools. All right. If they're not working, we replace them or we change it. We evaluate it. If it makes life better, if it makes life easier, we keep it. If not, we change it. And that's really important. If your child repeatedly struggles at the same point in the stack, don't immediately decide that they just won't do it. You need to ask a better question. Is the step too big? Is the cue obvious enough? Is there too much language? Does the object they need to have, does the object they need have a consistent place? Are there too many choices? Do they need a visual reminder? Do they need regulation first? Because that intervention doesn't mean that things are failing. It gives you data, it gives you information. Now, I would suggest printing these out and actually placing them where the cue is. Okay, so placing them by the front door, placing them next to the bedside table, give them something visual. So you might be thinking, Steph, what on earth has this got to do with forgotten homework and detentions? Now, if you've been on my Instagram lately, you will see a reel with over 5,000 views on it where I said it was absolutely disgusting. When I was presenting at the ADHD and autism shows, I talked about it. And it was on a webinar I'd hosted for parents where unfortunately, one of the mums had said to me her daughter had 87 detentions, being late for getting homework, that sort of thing. Mum is also neurodivergent herself. 87. She's been sanctioned 87 times for things that she can't help. 87 times without the school saying, actually, maybe we need to think about building some skills here so this kid doesn't constantly think that she is lazy, she's stupid, she's failing. So yeah, it actually potentially has a lot to do with executive functions, forgotten homework and detentions. Children who are neurodivergent, specifically with ADHD and dyslexia, can have significant challenges when it comes to organising materials, managing homework, planning, and research into organisational skills intervention has found improvements in areas including homework problems, organisation, and materials management. Okay, when children and adolescents are explicitly taught systems to support these skills. Okay, so it's our responsibility as the adults in their lives to explicitly teach these skills. So when a child repeatedly forgets their ingredients, the PE kit, the homework, the books, the form, any other equipment, okay, it can help with that. And we need to be careful about interpreting that as purely motivation or a behavioral problem. Now, I'm not saying, and I'll die on this hill, I'm not saying that there should never be expectations. I am a former English teacher. I'm a former core subject teacher, and that meant something, okay? It means something to me. Of course, children need to develop skills and independence. But independence isn't when we say, I told you to remember it, therefore you are now completely independently capable of remembering it, okay? We teach the system. We practice the system, then we gradually remove support where appropriate. So instead of saying, don't forget your PE kit tomorrow, we might try, when my bag goes to the door, the PE kit goes beside it. Instead of, remember to hand the form in, maybe we say, when the planner goes into my bag, the form goes in the planner. We make the environment do some of the remembering because they can't always hold it in this brain's notepad called the working memory themselves. Now, that is a much more useful starting point than repeatedly punishing a child for a skill they are still developing. And now I want to talk about you as the adult, as the parent, as the carer in that child's life, because there is an enormous amount of information out there for neurodivergent children. And it's good. Some of it's really good. Some of it's a load of rubbish, but some of it's really good. And we really need it. But there is a slightly ridiculous assumption hidden inside some of that parenting advice, okay? That the neurodivergent child is being raised with an adult or by an adult with absolutely magnificent executive function. Create a routine, prepare everything the night before, keep on top of the school app, track appointments, follow up with the Senko, complete the forms, keep records, remember medication, meal plan, stay emotionally regulated. Meanwhile, the parent's thinking, I have ADHD as well, so give me a break. Or I'm neurodivergent as well, so lay off. Okay, there's enough pressure and enough crap out there making us feel rubbish as it is. So please steal the habit stacking for yourself, okay? It might be when I make my first coffee of the day, I check my calendar. Or when I open an email with a very important date, I immediately put that into the calendar. When I walk through the front door, my keys go in the same place. When I plug my phone in at night, I check what tomorrow needs. Okay, because adults with ADHD specifically, or neurodivergent in general, have shown prospective memory challenges. Okay, the research shows us that, particularly around remembering and executing future intentions. And there's also some research out there, actually early research in autistic adults, suggesting that explicit if-then plans might help prospective remembering, although there is smaller evidence, so we shouldn't overstate it, but it's emerging. So the point isn't that neurodivergent people need more routines. The point is, can we make the things that we already want to do require less remembering, less starting, and less mental juggling? Okay, so that's different. So what happens when you forget your own habit stack? It doesn't matter. We carry on. That's it. We're not going to die. No one's going to die. It doesn't have to be perfect. And we just carry on. We get on with our lives. And that's probably one of my favorite parts of this strategy. Okay, because sometimes my own systems work brilliantly, and sometimes my ADHD apparently decides we're no longer participating in systems. I'll make the coffee and I'll completely forget to attach whatever I was meant to attach to making the coffee. I'll put something somewhere safe, and we all know, as any ADHD adults know, it's often the last time I'll ever see that object, to be honest. And it doesn't mean that I can't stick to anything. It just means that I've missed the cue. So I use the next one, and I want the children to learn that too. A support strategy shouldn't become another thing they can fail at. If it isn't helping, we change it. If you forget it, we restart. If the step is too big, shrink it. No streak required, and absolutely no shame required. So if you take 3 things from this video or nothing else, do this. Number 1, choose one problem, okay? Not your entire family life. It might be the school bag, it might be the PE kit, it might be checking tomorrow's calendar. That's all we're going to do. Choose one problem. Number 2, find something that already happens before it. That is your cue. Okay, something already happens before it. Number 3, make the action ridiculously, embarrassingly small. Okay, when X happens, I do Y. Try it. Watch what happens, adjust it. That is enough. And again, I've made a free resource, so please do click on it underneath this video if you haven't already received it. If you are one of my subscribers and you are receiving my Monday Made Clear newsletter, you will already have this resource, but hopefully this video helps and gives you a little bit of extra knowledge. So you'll find everything you need directly below this video in YouTube, for example. So you'll find also some free executive function guides for parents, my free back to school habit stacker, which you can print out. I've got loads of other things on Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube. Please click subscribe if you haven't already. I'm close to 100 followers, depending on when you are watching this. So you'll find all of those links below. And lastly, if you've watched this and thought this is what I need, somebody to explain what's happening, then give me something practical to do about it, then please come and join us. I would love to have you in Inclusive Club, because that is exactly what I am building. I don't want parents leaving a webinar knowing 17 more facts about autism and ADHD, but having absolutely no idea what the bloody hell to do tomorrow. I want you to understand your child. I want you to understand yourself. And then I want you to have practical strategies you can actually use. Founding membership is now open. It is £17 to enroll, then £20 a month from the 28th of September. And that monthly founding rate of £20 a month stays locked for life whilst you are an active member. The link is below. So again, if this video helps, subscribe, because there's a lot more coming. And imagine this was helpful and it was free. Imagine what's going to be in Inclusive Club, where you are paying. I will hopefully see you in the next one. And don't forget to send this to somebody who really needs it. Thanks, guys. This is Inclusive Teacher Co. Over and out.